Well, hello, good morning to everybody. How are we all doing today? So we're going to be hopping right into today's stream. Starting up Civilization 4, Caveman to Cosmos. Now, Caveman to Cosmos is a very large mod for Civilization 4 that starts us clear back at 200,000 years ago. Not quite the earliest evidence for man, but it is some of the earliest where we have heavy concrete evidence for mankind being active. The earliest evidence for man is roughly a little over 300,000 years ago out of a site in Morocco, which is fairly recent on its discovery. Now this is going to be more of just a chilled, just relax sort of stream until, things start to heat up. So just grab a drink, relax, and we'll talk about things in prehistory, early man, and basically try to figure out where we are right now. But before we do that, I need to do one thing real quick. Alrighty, let us continue on. Hopefully the audio sounds alright. Now I do notice that we have a tribal village, or as it's referred to in the Civ community, a goody hut. Just sitting right here. And it looks like we got coast. Looks like it expands on this way, so maybe the coastline goes out this way. And it looks like it does the same thing, so maybe we're out on the edge. Though this is freshwater coast, so this might be a big lake that comes up around this way. So, besides being in a whole bunch of jungle, we are on a bunch of lush tiles, which tends to be where jungle happens to be. I'd say this is actually a fairly nice start right here. So let's go ahead and found our first city. And I hit the wrong button, so we're just gonna reload real quick. Forgot I had messed around with a few of the controls, so we're gonna go ahead and build our city here. Now the fun thing about the how civilizations work in this mod is you have to build the culture, so you're starting out as like quote Americans and all that sort of stuff. It's just mostly your flag color and how the units speak. So we are our own make-em-up civilization, and we are Britannia. Named for the old Roman word, basically what the Romans called the British Isles. So since this is our first little, like, outpost, it's not really a city yet, but just a little tribe area, we start out with tribal guardians, which is pretty good for protecting our first little area. It automatically has a nice defense in a city. So we're going to fortify them there. And we also started with a Wanderer, which is a scout unit. And I'm going to have it immediately hop onto this goody hut right here. Which looks like it gave us some things. And we're just going to start with an alpha male and an alpha female, since it's all that we can actually build.
At your service.
And we got a free gatherer out of that, which is going to be good for later on, though we can't really do anything about that right now. We're also going to drop our research down, because I want to try to get a big pocket of gold as quick as possible. Now, keep in mind, currency is going to be kind of useless to us. This is just going to be a big emergency reserve. Until basically when we get the ability to start buying units. Let's look into our research and what we want to go for first. Now, we have cave dwelling, nomadism, and language to start out with. And I am going to go with language just so we can get a little head start when it comes to our technology. It's not going to be anything drastic. Nomadism. And then we're going to go into trails. Trails basically gives us an upgraded scout unit, which is the proper scout. And with scavenging, we'll be able to take advantage of any animals we happen to come across. Though right now we're primarily just going to be trying to overpower them with brute force. And after we get trails, we're going to make a beeline for persistent hunting, basically just running the animal to death, along with hand hammer. Just the first early made tools, and then we'll go into cave dwelling. Let's see. Hard hammer progression, and then soft would be nice, but going into cooking would be a good idea, and then herbalism, weaving. Basically catch up on some of these smaller... Pick up a cultural identity. Basket weaving. Trapping, because by the point we get to that, we should be pretty, decent when it comes to the amount of animals we're running into. And we can always change around the, order of what we're running into. We'll just do it like that for now. Got a lot of technologies. And I think this is good for turn 1. Let's see. The coastline does look like it goes out this way a little bit further. And the same. And we do have a river, something I didn't point out before. So that'll be good for later on. So I'm debating if I want to follow the coast or if I want to follow the river. I think we'll start by following the river. And we'll put these... Now a gatherer, unlike a proper worker, every time that we use it outside of like a road, it will disappear. So we basically consume the unit to form like a gathering hut and stuff like that. So we have to be pretty, I'm gonna drop it down until 16 until we get language. That's not bad. Don't need to worry about having slow input when it comes to our technology right now. Now, I don't know how many other civilizations we have starting out with. We are a minor civ, so until we get writing, we're basically no different than barbarian factions. And we won't be able to even tell what's barbarian and what's not barbarian for a little while.
Awaiting your orders.
I'm thinking they'll turn that down just a little bit.
Yes?
As much as I like the music in Caveman to Cosmos. Looks like there's another river right here. It is, it goes on. Got a hill. More fresh water. This is a really big lake because only a lake, if it was like proper ocean.
Awaiting your orders.
Though it could be a freshwater sea. It is possible to have a freshwater sea. They're just extremely rare. I'm
Your orders.
gonna move and maybe get another wanderer. That would be nice from this goody hut. Now, as we get technology more and more advanced, we'll be able to pick out any resources that happen to be around. And we did get another wanderer. I want to send them back to Britannia.
Tell me what to do.
Just have them explore the coastline.
What's the plan?
Got an interesting coast. We might be on a big peninsula.
What's the
Not
plan?
sure though. Looks like we got a little freshwater bay right here. All of this is just jungle. Jungles can have a positive and a negative. It's going to keep a lot of pollution down, but it's also going to make us very unhealthy.
Reporting for duty.
A lot of disease can prosper in a wet tropical environment like this early on. Found another goody hut.
Tell me what to do.
Let's continue on. Send this guy down this coastline here. Looks like another river. And We received a little bit of progress towards language. Just follow the coast.
Ready for action.
This is all fresh water. So it looks like there's a really big lake. Which is interesting.
At your service.
Got another goody hut there. I'm hoping this is a peninsula and not what it's starting to look like.
Yes.
Now we got ourselves a brute. One of our first early military type units.
Ready for action. Reporting for duty.
Send them back.
Language is not only the vehicle of thought, it is a great and efficient instrument in thinking.
And yeah, let's adopt a native language. So now we have the ability to communicate a lot more efficiently.
What's the plan?
We receive some experience.
Reporting for duty.
I'm hoping this connects a little bit more, but it's starting to look like we're on a really big island. And we're going to take...
Tell me what to do.
have them explore the interior. All of this is jungle. Another goody hut.
Reporting for
It's
duty.
nomadism.
What do you need?
So yeah, unless this connects, we are on a big island. And we got some gold from that.
What's the plan?
One just principle from the depths of a cave is more powerful than an army.
Well, we got cave dwellings, but we don't have any caves. But we have an interestingly shaped island, that's for sure. And it's not a small island, so at least we won't have to worry about being cramped.
Tell me what to do.
What to do.
Awaiting your orders.
Just gonna put them on to hunt.
Your orders.
Only thing I can think to do. Now, our military units to start out with is our brute and our stone thrower. So, the brute is sort of self-explanatory. It's just a guy who punches things. Our stone thrower, though, it's just a guy who lobs stones. Now, something that's kind of interesting is one of the things that makes early man and later on, you know, modern Homo sapiens, just ourselves, different from our now extinct relatives such as Neanderthals and Denisovans, is we can do something that they can't, which simply just raise your hand above your head. That range of motions, in particularly for Neanderthal, was not capable. They weren't capable of actually doing that. The structure of their shoulder didn't allow them, and particularly the way that the joint connected into the socket. So that's how come they have a lot more of a broad, bulky shoulder configuration. And their head structure is a lot more of a squat, even though it's just about the same size as ours. And the Denisovans, they could raise their arms just a little bit higher, but not to the full straight up and down motion. They could do about kind of the halfway point on what you could do, but still a bit of the same problem. And you might be thinking, well, why does that have to be anything important? Well, whenever it comes to throwing something or having to actually reach up and grab something to go and climb, it just gives us a natural advantage just from a pure biological standpoint on how we are actually physically made.
What do you need?
Also, something that is a little bit different between Neanderthal in particular is the way that your chest is configured. You can take a lot deeper of a breath, you can hold it, and if you've ever been running and otherwise, of course, it just depends on what sort of shape you're in, but in general, you're able to actually regulate your breathing a lot better. And this is actually something that, in particularly, humans can do a lot better than any other animal, because you don't have to sit there and pant like a dog has to, or stop like how some lizards have to, whenever you're running. And this has basically led to a pretty strong scientific theory that we basically ran our early prey to death. Basically persistent hunting. So let's say that you were hunting a deer. You're not going to catch a deer on foot. But if you're just in a slow-paced jog and otherwise you spook it, it runs, takes off, you catch up to it, it gets spooked again, basically repeat the process multiple times, and eventually it's going to get tired and you're either going to catch it or it's just going to drop dead because it can't, you know, stop and rest. And in the open environments of Africa, it was very, very useful. And we're starting to get some of our first animals spawning in. Put them on defense. Let's try to get this lemur. Sent us some food. As long as they're on auto hunt, they'll automatically heal up after any major successes. Now, being in jungle, we're gonna get some actually quite nasty predator spawns, and right here is one of them, a Bengal tiger. And it looks like they managed to actually take it out, which is surprising. Give them a little bit of a strength bonus. We don't have enough, but we'll go with 4 stone throwers. That will give a nice defense if we have any Neanderthals or potential barbarian spawn. So we almost have nomadism. Got a viper.
A nomad, I will remain for life, in love with distant and uncharted places.
I don't think this gives us anything special outside of wanderers, which we don't really need wandering, and we're actually going to change around our research. What's going to give us the first naval units? So we're going to make a beeline for it. Trap fishing. Raft building. So we're basically going to make a beeline for rafts. But we're going to go with shelter building. That will pick up gathering and that controlled fire. And then make a beeline for raft building. Then we'll go back and basically just pick up these. And so we need certain things. We're just gonna have to deal with being stuck for a little while. Cultural identity. Binding. And then work our way to raft building. And counting, cooking, trapping, spear. Sharpening, which will lead to stone. Spear making. Tracking. Portable shelters won't really do us any good. Spear fishing, since we're heavy on the coast. Now we're going a little too... We want gathering, shelter building, communal, fire. It's basically just trying to find what's most optimal. Trap fishing. Rafting. Then work on gathering our stone tools. Ceremonial burial. Fire making. Spear fishing. And I think whenever we get to this point, we'll fully reevaluate the situation. Increase the budget a little bit. So we're at a little bit of a disadvantage at the moment, but we should be okay. At least I hope we're okay. So, we have 3 types of wild animal units. We have omnivores, carnivores, and herbivores. So the little deer represents a herbivore, this represents omnivore, and the other one that you saw for like the tagger, that represents a carnivore. And they'll all actually fight and battle one another. They'll gain XP and stuff like that. So right now, these early spawns aren't going to be a lot of an issue. I keep forgetting hitting those also changes the what we happen to be on. Keep them on hunt. Speed up gathering because we do get a little bonus if we're the first one to get it. Definitely going to take sentry. That'll give us a little bigger line of sight with this guy. Now, the oldest first boat that we actually have evidence for is out of Holland. Modern day Holland, which it was discovered sort of like by accident and pulled out of the ground. But it was kind of just a hollowed out log. But during that time, the Dogger Bank area was still exposed and out of the water, and it had an extensive river system that would run into what is today the North Sea. And most likely what would happen is the people that were up in Holland at the time would use the river system to go down to more prime hunting area during the summer and then come further inland during the winter. Because occasionally around the area of Doggerland, we still pull up artifacts from the time. I mean, they even find the occasional mammoth bone. Another Bengal tiger. And just like the last one, they were able to deal with it, and we're going to take another sentry. And continue the hunt. This little bay area right here is actually pretty decent. Might want to set a second city there, though. We'll probably, whenever... Of course, we're not going to have another city anytime soon. We won't get that until we get, like, up to tribalism. We'll probably set it somewhere around here. Along this coastline. And then just work our way down. We've got nice spots. Depending on what resources we have, really depends on how good this start's actually going to be. And we're surrounded by a freshwater sea, so that part is really nice. Now, if this turns to ocean instantaneously, it means that whatever was keeping this connected from the greater ocean has basically collapsed. As we can have an ice age pop up in this early time. And we're going to just build some, not more stone throwers, but some more brutes.
At your service.
That way, if anything real nasty spawns. Oh, we do have a little bit of a coastline over here and more jungle. So we're in a very tropical area.
For man, autumn is a time of harvest, of gathering together. For nature, it is a time of sowing, of scattering abroad.
Now we did get gathering, so we can finally start doing some of these minor improvements. And we were the first one to get gathering, which is very nice. Just gonna put them on auto.
Ready for action. What's the plan?
Same with this one. So we got 2 free. Need the brute. So basically, I want to build up production units first. So some driftwood and stick gatherers, lumber gatherer, a rock gatherer, and then finish off with this one, and then we'll pick up the last ones. But the storage pit is by far the most important, because we haven't been able to keep any of the food that we've been getting from what few animals that we've been hitting, and we've also revealed our first sets of resources So we've got ourselves some nice sets of wheat around. Looks like we have some stone, which is nice. We've got 2 sources of stone around us. And what's this? Obsidian. So we have basically our primary resources for this era on our island. 2 sources of obsidian and looks like... Yep, just 2 sources of stone. Which stone is actually pretty important. It'll also be pretty important going into the early phases of the ancient era. But the one thing that I really like now, and we're definitely in a good area, is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sources of wheat, and there could still be wheat actually hidden in the jungle that is just not spotted. On top of that, we have, kind of hard to pick them out, but right there's one of them. We have prime timber. Looks like some right there. Got another one right there. Another one. There might be some down here, I'm just not able to spot it. But we have several sources of prime timber, which is going to make our early ships, basically the first half of the entire game, all of our wooden ships are going to have a nice bonus due to prime timber, which is really powerful to have early on. And we also have a nice luxury source in silk. So once we secure the island and really start getting it built up, we'll have a nice little area with trade goods. And hopefully this isn't another island and this is like the actual proper mainland. Though it's probably another island, seeing that this is all coast. So we're probably in a little archipelago. Now just a question, do we want to place a city here? Or do we want to place a city here to start out with? I'm thinking here because that's still relatively close, so we can easily connect it. And it's, like I said, relatively close, but it's also far enough that they won't really, like, impact one another in growth. And early on, being close and having that ability to just trade amongst one another and share their resources, which we're going to be able to do anyways because we're all on this coastline. But that's, like, if barbarians don't come along and, like, blockade the coast for a little while, because until we get, like, a proper navy established, we're going to have some issues. Give them a strength. Now it looks like the animals are starting to hit a bit harder. We have at least 6 other civilizations right now. And more of them will spawn in as time goes. But we have an original count of 6. Now the real question is, are these two mountains actually volcanoes? Because something in Caveman to Cosmos is there is dormant, extinct, and active volcanoes. And when they're extinct, they look nothing more than hills and mountains, and anytime you have a lone mountain like this, they are kind of on the suspicious point, though there are hills around it. But these are both sort of suspicious right now. And the entire island is nothing but lush. Meaning that even when we clear this, or if it catches on fire and clears out a section later on, we are still going to have to deal with jungles re-emerging. We'll do for lush. Crazy. Usually don't like island starts, especially when we're by ourselves on an island, but not bad. The last time I attempted to do a Civilization 4 game, we were on an island, but we had at least 2 other civilizations to start out with us.
If your friend is already dead and being eaten by vultures, I think it's okay to feed some bits of your friend to one of the vultures to teach him to do some tricks. But only if you're serious about adopting the vulture.
And scavenging has revealed some other animals, which are some horses. Well, some other resources, which are our horses. And now that we have horses revealed, they will start spawning some things, and jungle horses in particular. We won't be able to get real use out of them for a little while. Tidal pool scavenging. Some more food. I'm gonna cut back. No, we're not gonna cut that back right yet. Our island is starting to become a little more dangerous. Just about have our storage pit, and we'll actually be able to start having proper use out of all this. Good, now whenever we get any food coming in, it will actually keep it. So Britannia can start growing soon. We do have some nice resources on this island. We're very close to tool making.
Man is a tool-using animal. Nowhere do you find him without tools. Without tools he is nothing. With tools he is all.
Now we can start making some actual tools. Nutcrackers. We'll bring it down. 20's not bad for this early time. Let us catch up on our building. Take out that spider. Jungle tarantula. Looks like there's some more coastline over here. So these might be some of the other islands in the archipelago. Give them lush. That's just mostly us speeding through turns, waiting for something interesting to happen. We got seagulls starting to spawn. I hope we have some very useful coastline. More than just fresh water. I mean, fresh water is a very powerful thing to be around because our cities can actually grow unimpeded. Cobra and a slot bear. Interesting. And we captured the bear,
Reporting for duty.
which we'll be able to get a folklore out of it on the next turn. Folklores are nice and very powerful. It'll help our research a little bit. Now, as we get our gatherers more built up in the city, it's going to start producing significantly more. as it's already, as you can see, getting easier to produce buildings.
Man does not weave this web of life. He is merely a strand of it. Whatever he does to the web, he does to himself.
Very nice. Now we're working on shelter building. Which 28, that's okay. It'll let us get a lot more of our buildings dealt with. Let's get up to 100 turns and then we'll call it for right now. About how much time I have for now. Go for another lush. Having the lush bonuses is very nice for anything on the island. And we got another folklore for the orangutan. Got a horse here. If we were to capture that, we could get a horse herd, which would be nice. And another thing, we're just at a disadvantage being in the jungle is just trying to get this to grow. It'll take a little while. But we're gonna call it here. Gonna save. And I thank y'all for coming and watching. We'll be back later in the evening my time, and we will see you all later's alligators. Bye bye now.